What is the funniest, weirdest or most repulsive thing you have ever overheard someone say? Overheard is not the right word. Couldn't ignore is closer. A guy in a very expensive suit was walking through a parking lot. Pissed off. Screaming into a cell phone's "There's been a crew there for a week and no work is done. I need you to light a fire under that guy's ass." Then he tripped on one of those concrete tire stops at the end of a parking space and did a full-on faceplant straight into the blacktop. He never put his hands out in front of himself to break his fall. He held his phone right to his ear and he never stopped bitching at the guy he was talking to. All the way down. Honestly. The other guy probably didn't know this guy had just blasted his face and his $800 suit straight into the pavement. Just splat. Tripped but bitching all the way down. And all the time he was rolling around in his business suit trying to get back up, and the whole time he walked away. He didn't miss a single beat. Not me. Though. I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. Waiting in line at an amusement park. Some middle schooler behind us. If I were gay, I would totally sword fight. Well, of course I don't like killing kids. But at the same time I should be allowed to enjoy an adult privilege from time to time. I eventually realized he meant second-hand smoke. Guy on the phone at a Taco Bell. "Nah man, I can't hang out today. It's Titty Tuesday." This 80-year-old lady I used to work with was a really old horn dog. I overheard her once say it doesn't get loose. You just have to squeeze it. The man she was talking to nodded knowingly. Then she says, "I'm squeezing it right now." I was in the checkout line at the grocery store and a boy around 8 years old was asking his mom to buy him something and she said no. He muttered under his breath, "I will kill you someday." Straight up. One of my most irrational fears is that when I have kids I'll have a crazy one that kills everyone in their sleep. Not a lot of people I know have that fear and I can't ask my family since they're all dead. Edit. To everyone asking. No. I didn't kill my family. One morning I woke up and apparently my infant brother took the axe to everyone. Wiped blood all over my clothes. Then turned the axe on himself. The whole thing was rather bizarre, but I'm sure they had it coming. Girls walking by at Burning Man. I actually wound up sleeping with 2 guys named Brad yesterday. That only counts as 1 box on Burning Man bingo. I was in Wilkes with my mate and 2 little old ladies were in front. Next thing we hear is this humongous fart, and from nowhere this little old lady just says, "I thought that one was going to be silent. I could have died." Yesterday. Church. Little girl behind us. Loudly whispering. "Mom. Mom. Mommy." Guy on a phone call. No. Trojan horse. Clip clop nay. Not Trojan WH res. I was in driver training and when the teacher stopped talking we heard a girl at the back say, "No. I think you're confusing incest with animal PRN. Seems like my kind of girl. Too bad we're not related." When I worked at Walmart, I was in the break room and a trailer for the first Hobbit film played on the TV. Walking past a couple of high school kids a while back. Kid 1. "What are the best type of squirrels?" Kid 2. "Annoyed the plural of squirrel is squean." "I'm going to suck the cock clean off Dan when he gets in." An attempt at a whisper from one girl to another. Safe to say we heard and made her intentions known. Dan was happy though. Edit. As he stared at the table. A hard-boiled egg in his hand and a furrow on his brow. Why is it that when you crack an egg it sometimes comes out liquid and other times solid? Like this was 3 days into my freshman year at college. I have never seen so many people simultaneously go from laughing to confusion to concern and finally to pity. Once was eating in a cafeteria in college and a girl at the table says, "Well, I need to piss. Gonna go juice the taco and see you guys later." Never heard the term juice the taco since. Edit. Shoot, I've blown my cover. Hi long bone. Her vagina was basically a crocodile. I don't even know if I want to know the context of croc Jenner. You can tell that the dinosaurs they use in films aren't real. My GF confused the words narcolepsy and necrophilia while talking about her pet rabbit that slept a lot. It was pretty shocking at first. Dude I used to work with always talked in a low voice and sometimes it'd be extra low and or mumbly. And if you don't understand or hear and ask him to repeat it, he'd just yell out I said sucking dick makes you deaf. Overheard this once. I want to cut your little dick off and frame it on my wall. One of my mom's work friends asked me to come over and help her while she was preparing for her kid's 3rd birthday party. She had set him up by the TV and played some kind of child learning video to keep him distracted while we cleaned and made food. She went over to him, kid's name was Adam, and started asking him little questions about the video. What color was the sky? What color is a school bus? Things like that. Not even 10 minutes later Adam gets up and walks to the back room. I walked over to grab some plates off the shelf and I hear Adam in the bathroom talking to himself in this deadpan hilarious mocking tone. What color's an apple, Adam? Red. Good, Adam. I couldn't stop laughing. He's going places. At a coffee shop I've never had pumpkin flavored anything. Not even carrot cake. The 31st of August. 1997. Myself, my roommate, and some friends are celebrating our return to college with a large number of beers. Someone walks in to tell us that Princess Diana had died. Complete silence until my passed out roommate awakens to say, "Good, I hated that bitch," then promptly passes back out. How was Prince Charles as a roommate? Couple playfully bickering in store. Woman says, "Fine. Have it your way. Why don't you just slap me and get it over with?" He says, "I would but don't want to walk around the mall with an erection." What's the age of consent here? I'm not a pedophile. I'm just trying to keep my options open. She felt 18 to me, Your Honor. I was at Gen Con this year and I walked past a pretty heated, nerd rage fueled argument. I heard one man say to the other, "You look like someone who would be pissed off about Firefly's cancellation." For some reason it just seems to have so many implications. So I was taking an EMS class a few years ago and we would do mock scenarios for mass casualty incidents. Basically there is a triage system in place for when you have a bunch of victims and not much time to help them. It goes from green, basically okay, to black, dead or about to die. So I'm the first responder to a mock car crash that has 4 people in it. I open the door to find the driver, the black guy in class, hunched over the wheel. I check for a pulse and the instructor says you find no pulse. So I start to pull him out to get to the guy in the back seat. That is when the instructor says, "Good. He's black." He doesn't get any help. Both me and the black guy just stop and look up at him for a second before he realizes what he said and we just lose it. We were laughing so hard we had to stop the scenario. I went to a Finding Dory matinee by myself. When I took my seat, I overheard the old biddy behind me say to her friend, "Isn't it awful they just let them come into a movie like that?" For the record, I'm a 40-year-old man, so I'm guessing she thought I was there for something other than the Pixar animation. In high school I worked at a movie theater and my dad, who worked from home, would come in to watch movies for free during my shifts. My dad loves Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks films. He says it's because his life is stressful enough so when he watches a movie he doesn't enjoy much conflict. My manager came to me once and said, "Watch out if you go into the flushed away theater. There's a weird old guy sitting alone in the back." My dad sits in the back because he has really bad eyesight. I didn't tell my dad the assumptions made, but I did tell him I'd like to accompany him for any future movies. 2 girls shopping. He was moving his tongue so fast it was like a vibrator. This probably comes under all 3. 2 women in the city center, and a young girl of about 12 who is in a wheelchair. The woman proceeds to sit on the girl in the wheelchair's knee. She told her to get off, to which the woman responded, "Shut up." You can't even feel your legs anyway. Similar story. But funny. My dad's friend is a paraplegic. No function in his legs. They go out to the bar and are hanging out upstairs. Hours pass. Fear plastered. They decide going downstairs to the dance floor is a good idea. How do you get a guy in a wheelchair downstairs? Carry him, of course. They pick him up. Take about 3 steps down. And the whole party falls. At the bottom of the stairs all you can hear is someone screaming, "I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs." Followed by "Shut up, James. You couldn't feel your legs before we came in here." Had a friend that was starting to date in the town she'd just moved to. She went on a date with a Marine where he proceeded to tell her that she was prime breeding stock and he would be happy to procreate with her. That was their only date. My god. My freshman roommate would say the same thing. He would go off on how his grandfather said he was like a prize greyhound that had to be bred. He would constantly hit on my girlfriend and pull alpha male shit. He was all talk though. He gave himself a concussion tying his shoes. I was at a football game and 2 of the people by me were talking about how much one of them had to pee. He didn't want to go to the bathrooms because the line was so long and the bathrooms were pretty dirty. So they were debating whether he should just go right there in the stands. He decides that yes, he should. He asks his friend to stand over him so that he can pee discreetly. He begins peeing into a Coke bottle, and it's not very discreet. It turns out that the bottle still had a lot of soda in it, meaning that the pea Coke mixture quickly overflows all over his pants. And also drips onto the nachos he had set on the ground while he did his business. The 2 guys said a lot of things. But in regards to the nachos, the guy who peed said, "Damn. My nachos are ruined too." Then the second guy said, "Hey, I'll eat them if you don't want them." Yesterday, in the town center, some guy was handing a gym flyer to 2 girls. As they walked away, one asked the other, "Does he think we're fat?" The other replied, "I'm eating advent calendar chocolate at lunchtime in October. So probably." I was at the gas station waiting for my car to fill up when a guy pulled up in his car. He was talking on his Bluetooth about during his last shift. He is a cop. He pulled over this vehicle for using their hydraulics while driving. This is illegal in my state. When explained that when he questioned them about it, they said they didn't have any hydraulics and what he was seeing is their dancing. The driver points to the back seat as he turns up the music and these 3 very heavy people start bumping to the music, causing the entire car to bounce up and down. I had to contain my laughter as that's got to be one of the best traffic stops I've heard of. I repost this every time this question comes up because I still laugh when I think about it. Forgive me, but enraged father in a parking lot getting out of the car. To his child getting out of the back. I broke a commandment for you. One evening some time ago, my mother walked into my little sister's bedroom to tell her good night and read a bedtime story. My little sister couldn't have been more than 3 years old. My mother walks in the room and my sister is just staring at her hands. Like she's just noticed them for the first time. When my mom asked what she was doing, she looked up from her hands and told my mother, "I have power in my hands. And I will use it to destroy you." She turned out okay. We found my brother sleepwalking the halls one night. All he said was, "The ducks are coming." 2 younger high school kids walking by on their way home from school. Why the FCK should I listen to USLT? You suck dick for heroin. Twice. One time, in the middle of the night, my brother sat up in his bed when we shared a room as kids. Still asleep and with no later recollection of the event. He said as clearly as ever, "Now onto the large intestine," and lied back down. He was narrating the movement of the food inside of him. I'm engaged but not engaged, so I made out with him. A couple months ago I was in the produce section of my local grocery store and I overheard a woman probably around the age of 40-50 very sternly on the phone say something along the lines of, "If you keep calling me I will go to your house with my 12-inch strap on and tear your asshole apart." Well, You have to be very firm when telemarketers call your mobile number. Hamon Rai. Hamon Rai. Damn, she is so hot. Old? OMG, she's old. Hamon Rai was the code word some of the guys used to point out hot girls in the lobby. Said woman was in line facing the other way and did have a nice body. She was, however, in her 60s or 70s. I just thought the guy's immediate and visceral reaction was hilarious. Ah. The Cronenborg. 16 from the back. 64 from the front. I was in a store looking at something near a cash register and I didn't hear what the girl said to this guy. But his response was, "Oh. Your ass is hanging out of your shorts," so I was just, looking at it. I looked over and her ass was indeed hanging out of her shorts and she was effkin' hot. Her response was to just turn around and ignore the guy. It was awkward. Turn around and show him her ass again. Standing in line at the Vatican to go into the Sistine Chapel. The lady behind us says to the group she is with, "Where are the other 15 chapels?" 2 kids. I think brothers and aged around 10-12 years old. Play fighting whilst the wife and I were walking past. One yells at the other, "Stop it, you sloppy vagina." Giggled like an utter child at that one. Wife wasn't as amused. Overheard a conversation in high school between the 2 odd people in class. Odd girl: "I think I'd enjoy being raped." Odd guy: "I mean, I could see myself doing it." What a nice pair. I was waiting in line at a gas station for a fill up. The person at the front of the line was having troubles galore getting their card to read. We stood there for a full 10 minutes with the line only growing. A very loud and talkative woman stood behind me on her phone. From her phone conversation I learned a few things about this woman. 1. She was a college creative writing teacher. 2. She hated Ron. 3. She loved tequila. She went on about a project she had her students do one year. Bring in something ugly. Trade your ugly thing with someone else's ugly thing. Then write a homage to the other person's ugly thing. One student brought in the Chinese exchange student as their ugly thing. It made the 15-minute line worth it to hear that. I was in line to buy a new DVD player. The woman in front of me was having something delivered. The clerk asked for her street name. She replied, "I don't have one, I go by Shanice." I was working retail and shooting the sh*t with a coworker. Super angry guy stomps past us talking on his phone. All of a sudden he screams, "You took the donkey home. You don't get unemployment." So many questions. This is just repulsive. Sat behind 2 very normal, middle class looking 12-year-olds on the bus. So, 500 right? Just to look at it when he yanks it? Yup. 500 crowns. I got a new pair of shoes yesterday. And I'm meeting him again today. He said he would give any of my friends 500 too. 500. I need more though. I wonder what he'd pay if I licked it. I was just about to talk to them when they got off the bus. And I lost them. Still wonder about that. I was in a waiting room to see a general doctor. 3 very large women were in the room. One was very chatty about her ailments. My knees just haven't been the same since I hit 40. I think I might have arthritis or maybe tendonitis. I hope it's not a knee tumor. My brother had that. Ruined his softball life. Another said, "Oh, my hip has been horrible for a few months. I think it's misaligned or dislocated. It's been making my heels hurt so much." The third, an Oprah looking woman, just smiled and said with Oprah level charisma, "Oh come on. Let's be real. We some fat bitches. That's why we're hurting." My brother was at a festival, Creamfields, where like 90% of people were on drugs. He heard these 2 f***ed up girls talking and one said to the other, "Oh, I must get that abortion." 2 girls deciding between 2 rums at a bar 2 days ago. One of them asks to smell the bottles. After sniffing one, she says to the other girl, "Oh god, no, not that." Once, when I was eating alone at my university's cafeteria, I overheard a conversation between about 5 black guys. One of them was describing this girl and said something to the effect of, "She got a real nice face. Good body. She smart as FCK. But she ain't got legs." I thought to myself that was a really superficial judgment. But as I continued listening, it became apparent that she actually didn't have legs. As in they had been amputated above the knee. Then they began discussing the advantages of this, as it allows them to get all up in that PSSY. Sounds like she's really down to earth. 2 women had a massive go at a gay couple saying that it's wrong to be in a gay relationship. Turns out those 2 women were also in a relationship. Oh, I got this one. I worked in a retail computer store. We had a creepy guy that would always come in and buy parts or ask questions. We had a rather slow day when he came in for repair. So we took care of the problem while he waited. After we fixed his computer, we rang up the repair and the 5-6 employees chit-chatted with him across the tech counter. Conversations went something like this. Him: "Thanks guys, I owe you big time. If you want I can give you a copy of my PRN collection." US: "No thanks, we are good." Him: "It's no problem. I have lots of unlimited online accounts so I have a huge collection." US: "No thanks, we can't really do that." Him: "I have all kinds. Every type of girl, position, hair color, etc." US: "Thanks but no thanks." Him: "These girls are hot. Well, not as hot as my daughter but hot." US: "My aunt was yelling at one of my cousins for no apparent reason while pretty much making fun of him at the same time. She ended up daring him to say something back in a pretty snotty tone. He looks up at her and says, 'You did such a bad job raising your first son that God took away your other child before you could FCK it up again.' She recently had a miscarriage and needless to say she had quite a mental breakdown after that one. It was f***ing brutal. Jesus Christ. That's like the 9/11 of epic burns." 2 elderly ladies were talking and Don said, "Yeah, Gerald is better. But with Richard you don't have to work around the oxygen tubes." My favorite was when my buddy's girlfriend at the time said, "As a group of us were leaving Superman Returns. And they thought he was dying. Why didn't they just put him in a tanning booth?" It was one of those where I was like, Jesus, that's dumb. But then I did wait a minute. Is it? What is the big deal with that llama? Girl in my high school history class after hearing about the Dalai Lama. I'd like to add one. I was in the dining commons at my college waiting in line behind 2 girls. This first girl looked at her friend and said, "Oh my god. I'm so hungry, I feel like Helen Keller." Her friend responded with, "Who's Helen Keller?" I was pretty surprised until the first girl finished with, "She's some Jewish girl that got locked in an attic." I didn't even know where to start. My daughter. When she was 3. I came into her room to check on her while she was sleeping. She was repeatedly squeezing both of her hands and her face was scrunching up a little. She's a sleep talker, so I just laughed a little and walked out. The next morning I told her what she was doing the night before and asked her if she remembered why. She said, "Oh, last night 2 little mice came through my door so I just grabbed them and was squeezing them so they wouldn't come back ever again." I just smiled and said, "Awesome." It. Rockstar gets free background conversation ideas for NPCs in the new GTA. Many years ago I was a busboy at a restaurant. A family consisting of a mom, dad, son about age 6, and daughter about age 3 was seated in the section I was covering. Mom and son had gone to the bathroom and I'm walking by when the daughter says, "Daddy, we should tell mommy about the game we play." Dad succinctly replies, "No. That's just for us to know about." In fairness, while really creepy sounding, the game could possibly be innocent. My daughter and I played a game where we add the word butts to the end of road signs. It's funny as hell to us, but her mother wouldn't like it. This game lasted until we passed a liquor store. Edit. Holy crap, and this of course ends up my top comment. Thank you everyone. Just hope her mom don't see it. Some things that I've overheard at my university. So I like God. But I also like dick. And there's really no in between. So I like sucking dick. It's an Olympic sport. So look at that girl's fat rolls. She got more rolls than Lambert, so I'm tired of puking. It's too much work. So I want to have sloppy meaningless sex and wake up the next day and just go on with my life. So I had my chance and threw up in front of him. He said we had to go our separate ways. So I need to stop having sex every night because my vagina is getting so loose. So I told him I don't do one night stands. So he's gonna have to put up with me for at least another week. So your bed is so comfy. Now I understand why you have sex in it so often.